Yeah, my bad. That last video got ended, but a lot of people been saying like I shouldn't celebrate, the death date. I celebrate it as in like, dang, that's the last day, that I seen him. I talked to him, you know, but it that kind of do make sense, But like I said, I always crash out, when I was, on drugs. Like, man, I'm talking about when I say crash out, I was coming close to death. You know, car car accidents. One time I fell asleep while driving the car. My car crossed over the center median and hit somebody head on. Luckily, it was no kids in this car. I woke up. When I woke up to somebody at my passenger side door. I was in the car by myself, but I woke up to somebody at my door saying, "I should pop your BITCHASS." And at that point, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I'm just now coming to. So I'm telling him like, I can't move. Woo, woo. He repeated himself like, "I should pop your BITCHASS." And then I pass out, right? I wake back up, he gone. Man, that was, and you would have think that would have been a wake up call for me, but it wasn't. I continued, right? I continued to display harmful and risky behavior, right? Um, Last year, around his death date, I ran into, I was doing 45. I drove into the back of a parked pickup truck. And the police, they kept they kept asking like, man, did you have your seatbelt on? Like, you should be messed up. Like, I was able to walk away from that, right? God, God spared me. And I used to, when I lost my son, dealing with that, I used to always question God, like, man, why you didn't take me? Why you take my son and leave me here? Like, I couldn't understand, right? And that shit, it messed me up for a while, because I couldn't understand why I was here. Why take my son, somebody smart, healthy, you know? And God, I came to the conclusion God needed him more. I came to the conclusion my son had completed his life's mission at the tender age of 13. God called him home. And like I say, putting it in that mind frame, I'm 37 and I ain't, accomplished my life goals to make it to heaven. And that's why I'm still here. It all depends on how you look at it, right? How you view it, right? I lost a lot of friends, my whole life. I got a tattoo on my arm, of all the friends that I lost, right? I can deal with that, right? Because we know what comes with being in the streets, right? We know what comes with it. So that's more accepted when they pass, right? But I couldn't accept losing my son. I just couldn't, right? But I couldn't, you know, listen, when God wants you to pay attention, he know how to get your attention, right? And God, I'm gonna tell you how cold God is. God is so cold. He said, "I'm finna make it where you can't be mad at nobody but me," right? Now they say my son, passed away from a car accident or he got shot, anything, right? Because kids been losing their life from all different things, right? So I always know that it could be worse, right? So but God, I look at it like this: God made it where He said, no, you ain't finna be mad at nobody but me. I can't be mad at nobody. My son died from an asthma attack, right? I can't be mad at nobody, right? I can't even be mad at God, right? They say you can't. They say don't question him. You can't question him, But how can't you not question the big man upstairs, you know, when you talking about a child? My son Kyrell, he'd be 16, right, if he was here. And that thought, I always wonder in my head, like, dang, he'd be tall. How would he look? You know, I don't think I don't even think, I know I'm not over his death.